Hello and welcome to the first of many episodes of Xeneta Newsroom, where you can get your weekly dose of container shipping market insights. I am Peter Sand, Chief Analyst at Xeneta, the world's largest ocean and air freight rate benchmarking and market analytics platform. Many of you who are joining in might already know that we at Xeneta strive to provide the most up-to-date information on freight rate developments to you, and that's why we are now also introducing Xeneta Newsroom. If you're joining a Xeneta event for the first time, you can follow our LinkedIn page to get regular notifications about upcoming events. In the weekly live LinkedIn series, I'll be sharing crisp and up-to-date shipping market insights to help you stay up-to-date on the specific market developments and trends, so we can empower you to anticipate any upcoming changes or disruptions and react faster to the ever-changing market conditions. Before we start, do let me know where you are joining from in the comments. And if you have any questions along the way, please include them as well. Now, let's get started. In this first segment, I will address what we call main headlines in global media outlets. That's where I choose 3 top headlines that have caught my attention and give particular focus to one of them only. The first one: ocean carriers would be charged for empty containers lingering on the docks. As we all know, that is very much about improving the productivity of the San Pedro Bay ports, Los Angeles and Long Beach on the US West Coast. Secondly, preventive measures taken in China to fight COVID-19. We have rolling outbreaks of also the Omicron variant in China affecting global supply chains, of course also local and regional supply chains. Moving up from Ningbo Chusan a couple of weeks ago, but still something which is ongoing, to focus more this week in Tianjin, basically the port serving Beijing, where the Winter Olympics is up quite soon. So expect to take action to avoid or perhaps preventive measures for your cargo also, to make sure that you either circumvent the obstacles or challenges or basically handle this situation. Then our main story, the one that have caught most attention from us this week. The O&E vessel Madrid Bridge suffers container stack collapse in the middle of the Atlantic basin. That, of course, raised several questions, not only from you as shippers and operators, where you think, should something like this happen at all? Well, I think the outright response to that is easy. No, of course not, but it does happen. Actually, on average, 1,000 containers are lost overboard every year if we go back some 10 years. Specifically for the Madrid Bridge, we are aware that at least 30 containers are lost overboard. If we go back into 2013, many of you may recall the incident involving the MOL Comfort that basically broke into 2 pieces in the Indian Ocean, losing a total of 4,300 containers at that point in time. We're not expecting the Madrid Bridge to suffer anything like that, but obviously insurers as well as shippers and carriers themselves are raising questions whether it should be like this. Could we perhaps anticipate and improve the safety of not only the seafarers, but also, of course, the cargo the ships carry? And I think, again, yes, it's the obvious reply to this, but the way to get around this is, of course, not straightforward. There is the obvious point of who should pay for lost cargo. There's the obvious point of, have ships become too big with, say, the operational efficiency and technology not really catching up? That's another point, and I guess the jury is still out on many of these issues. But I think it's fair to say that obviously when you're moving this many boxes on the high seas, there is risk attached. And in the overall picture, losing 1,000 boxes every year out of 180 to 190 million boxes being transported on the global seas every year, it's a small risk. But obviously, I think the safety of everyone involved, including the seafarers, but also the cargo on board, is at the utmost attention. But ships continue to get bigger. What we know right now is that somewhere in second quarter this year, we will see a new record-breaking ship being delivered from the shipyards in South Korea. We will breach this magical line of 24,000 TEU. So the 11 ships that we right now have at equal place. At first, HMM Copenhagen and the Evergreen have quite a few of those. So Ever Ace is just one of them, capable of carrying almost 24,000 TEUs. Enough of what's in the headlines. Let's move straight into the Xeneta platform. I have chosen a couple of special charts for you that I will attach specific comments to. And I guess there's no better way to start than on the Trans-Pacific trade lane. One of the key and main hauls for, I guess, many of you out there. Here you are. Far East Maine to US West Coast. Easy peasy. In the yellow line, you have the spot rate indications, and in the blue line down below, you have the long-term indications. You can see that long-term indications that we have right now on the Xeneta platform is that contracts signed within the past 3 months with a duration of at least 3 months in advance is done now at around $5,400. This is, of course, very much at the attention of the shippers that would like to secure their cargo being delivered at the right point in time, at the agreed freight rate, and basically received also in time for any upcoming sales season that is required, or production line that is required. So much talk also from us on the long-term freight rates. On that shortly, but let me just briefly put a few comments on the spot market, which you see here on top. We can see right now our assessments are for a market rate right now at $8,800 per container. That seems to be sliding somewhat from the peak that we saw in late October, where the spot freight rates on the Trans-Pacific were at $9,000. Please be aware that these $9,000 are, you can say, the standard freight rates. You should be aware, of course, also on the priority shipment fees that you see out here. Meaning that if you as a shipper are expecting, say, a better product in terms of more reliability, more, your cargo getting on board the ship that you actually wanted it to go, you could be asked to pay a priority shipment fee on top of the fee that you see out here to the left in the line. Right now, indications for Far East Maine to US West Coast span from some $2,700 all the way up to $8,500. So you can easily see that, well, spot rates may go all the way up to $17,000 a day if you pay the top dollar priority shipment fee on top of the standard rate. Be aware of that. Some of you have seen that Xeneta have actively been out informing shippers about the rates they should expect for the long-term freight rates in 2022, mostly on the Far East to North Europe trade lane. As you can see here, the developments right now seems to be coming out a bit to the better side for shippers, as the early indications pointed to the fact that long-term freight rates are likely to be signed in excess of $10,000 per container for the 2022, at least the early quarters and month of 2022, where we see rates right now being signed just below that level at $9,400. More on this, of course, a developing story. You see also here priority shipment fees also being attached to that at a much lower level still than compared to the Trans-Pacific. Finally, let me give you a bit of insights on the transatlantic and the main haul from Rotterdam to the New York City, New Jersey. Here you can see that there is no priority shipment fees applicable, but you still see a freight rate at around $6,700. Again, an indication of the ripple effects from the global massive developments predominantly originating from the Trans-Pacific and rippling into also one of the, you can say, the minor main hauls, secondary east-west hauls on the transatlantic. That was it on the freight rates. Let's move into the third segment, which I have titled News from the Block and the Xeneta Platform. For everyone out there, please go into Xeneta.com. In our blog, you will find a weekly rate update, giving you an indication on some of the main trade lanes and some of the things that we think you should be aware of if you are active in the market. The one that we just published focused very much on the growing difference between rates quoted on the front haul and the back haul. Check it out. Secondly, allow me to point attention for customers only. Xeneta customers are capable of enjoying what we call top of mind, launched onto the product last week, giving you special attention to something that we think you should be aware of and perhaps even react to. That could be anything from, container dwell fees on the US West Coast to COVID outbreaks in China. But it gives you something special to put focus on for the week ahead. Remember, that was for Xeneta clients only. That brings me to the final segment of the first Xeneta Newsroom. I call that segment, if I were to pick a song that should set the tune for this week, this would be it. Obviously, being a music lover, I considered many different choices, but I think the 87 hit song from T'Pau, China in Your Hand, is very much framing what goes on in the market right now. It's a fragile condition everywhere you look, and very much with a focus center on China and the developments there, not only in the manufacturing centers, but of course also in terms of Corona and the COVID outbreak. Well, that's all for today. But for next week, I'll be meeting you again during the State of Market Ocean Live webinar on January 18. This webinar will analyze the current state of the global supply chain and freight rates in the early days of 2022. I'll also go into more details on what to expect for the upcoming Chinese Lunar New Year, and of course on capacity, focus on capacity and freight rates during that period. To make sure to sign up for that. The link is shared below. Thanks again for joining me for this inaugural episode of Xeneta Newsroom today. Sharing your thoughts in the comments is much appreciated. In case you're watching this episode as a recording and have any questions, you can add them in the comments so we can get back to you afterwards. Finally, if you want to know more how Xeneta can help you get your freights right, check out Xeneta.com or mail us on info@xeneta.com. This is Xeneta Newsroom. I'm Peter Sand, signing off. Stay safe and looking forward to meeting you again next week.